Since its creation, Image Comics has been a powerhouse of producing the most wonderfully unique superhero titles. The artists who work on major story acts in Marvel such as Spider-Man, New Mutants, the X-Force, and the X-Men branched off to start their own comic publishing house. Thus, in 1992, Image Comics was born, and the creators could explore their characters with unrestricted creative liberty without worrying about giving up copyrights. We've even seen intriguing fusion for Image Comics, such as the case of the Wildcats that was sold over to DC Comics. So in this marvelous video, let's talk about the strongest female superheroes of Image Comics. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Witchblade. Before she became Witchblade, Sarah Pezzini was a well-intentioned homicide detective who worked in New York City. Sarah made her first appearance as a character in the comic issue Cyblade She #1, The Battle for Independence, published in 1995. When Sarah worked alongside her partner, Michael Yee, on a covert mission, they were gravely injured. Kenneth Irons also happened to be there. He was obsessed with getting the Witchblade into his possession. The ancient Witchblade is known to be a supernatural conscious weapon. It is the product of the darkness and the light of the universe. The Witchblade is male in its essence and needs a female body as a host. As Sarah nearly met death, the Witchblade decided that she would be its host. Soon after, Sarah was forced to live a double life as she dealt with unearthly threats such as summoned demons. But she still wanted to use her newly gained powers for the greater good. However, this intention slowly began to reveal the Witchblade's violent nature. She even went through a time of being under the control of the Witchblade's side of the darkness. The Witchblade gave her a set of powerful attributes such as superhuman strength and shape-shifting to the extent of being able to summon a whole body armor. She is capable of pyrokinesis, tactile healing, inflicting damage to incorporeal beings, and ambient empathy. Angela. As her name insinuates, Angela is one of the angels who form a court in Elysian heaven. Angela was a remarkable Hellspawn hunter. Hellspawns are those who are granted underworldly bodies and can make deals with the fallen angels. The way Angela was given birth is quite ethereal. She was created from the fused souls of 5 mortals and a light pulse emitted from God. The 5 mortals that made up her soul died protecting their loved ones. Hence, Angela always had a tether to their pain and suffering, and even got visions from their lives. The 5 souls had also seen the spectre of death named Dujas. She was mentored by Catherine in heaven, who advised Angela to never give in to the darkness and head bravely into each battle. With Dujas as a sworn enemy, Angela vowed to hunt him down for herself, the souls that were tormented by him. In more recent times, the Hellspawn Slayer needed a Hellspawn hunting permit to kill the infernal humans that were resurrected on Earth. The day Angela turned 100,000 years old, she decided to hunt the Sandalphon dragon as a birthday treat. However, she was charged with treason after being framed by another angel named Gabriel. As an angel and Hellspawn Slayer, Angela had the powers of immortality, teleportation, superhuman strength, and reflexes. Sadly, Angela was killed in battle by Malbogia, one of the rulers of Hell. Glory. Gloriana Demeter is better known as Glory. When Lady Demeter formed an alliance with the Lord Silverfall of the Underworld, Gloria Demeter was created. She was raised on the Isles of Paradise, home to her mother as well. Glory turned out to be their strongest half-Amazonian warrior. Sound familiar? Gloriana actually pays homage to her DC counterpart Wonder Woman. Gloria struggled with the streak of viciousness and savagery that she had inherited from her father. Gloria never felt a sense of belonging to either side of her lineage, so she left to come to our world. During the Second World War, Glory fought alongside the Allied forces in the ranks of superheroes like Super Patriot and Die Hard. Like a true friend, she made a plea to the Pentagon for the rescue of Super Patriot when he was abducted. Glory was also part of the superhero team named Brigade and worked with the likes of Battlestone, Atlas, Cold Snap, Thermal, Seahawk, and a few more. At one point, Glory and Angela confronted each other due to a confrontation caused by the rogue angel Celestine. Glory and Angela worked together in their fight against Celestine, to the point of traveling to Hell together to confront Malbogia. In terms of powers, Gloria is considered a goddess and demon hybrid, which gives her all superhuman attributes with magic and the ability of interdimensional travel added to the mix. Invincible, Atom Eve. Samantha Eve Brandyworth was the daughter of Arias Brandyworth. Samantha's mother's identity was always kept a secret from her. It is even said that her mother died during childbirth. A main antagonist named Steven Erickson, who was from the Global Defense Agency, wanted to use Samantha as a weapon. Arias, wanting to protect his daughter, gave her away to Betsy and Adam Wilkins and used their stillborn baby to fool Steve. This is when Samantha's powers, which she presumably inherited from her birth mother, began to manifest. Samantha eventually did encounter her birth father, who told her about the transmutation powers she possessed. She was also born with the skills of subatomic manipulation, which meant she could physically change organic and inorganic material into whatever she wished. Samantha took up her masked alias and knighted herself as Atomic Eve. She then started her life as the traditional crime-fighting superhero. When Eve and Arias Brandyworth are kidnapped by Erickson, it is revealed that one particular skill of Samantha's was curbed since it would have made her too powerful. It turned out that Erickson had kept her mother alive all these years just to kill Eve's biological parents in front of her. She overcame the mental blocks and was able to alter living beings as well. Later on in her life, Eve went on to join the teen team, fight in the Invisible War, and start a family with her beloved Mark Grayson. However, the death of her loved ones always haunted her. Suprema. Sally Crane transformed into Suprema after she was exposed to the element Supremium, just as her brother Supreme was. A confrontation between Supreme and Darius Dax from the future led her to become Suprema. She was adopted by the Crane family in the 50s. She also came to be known as the Lass of Laurels and began her superhero journey as a teenager. She posed as the protector of Glendale, but picked up more significant responsibilities once her brother left Earth. The arrival of Goral, the living galaxy, risked the peace of the entire galaxy. Goral wanted a human partner, and Suprema reluctantly volunteered to marry him as a way to protect the Milky Way. She was taken away to live in a black hole for what seemed like an eternity. Upon her return, Supreme, with the help of Sally's superdog Radar, set off in search of her. After she escaped the mundane life she lived with Goral, Suprema joined the team of Youngblood. When Team Youngblood was created, superheroes such as Brahma, Cougar, and Riptide were its members. On her first mission with the team, she helped take down a villain named Occupant, who had escaped from the Veil. Sally also fought against a group known as the Bad Bloods. Since her transformation, Suprema gained superhuman attributes with the added perks of energy blasts and an Arctic breath. She is in the class 100 plus of strength levels. Jessica Priest. A pyromaniacal Jessica would eventually be known as the lethal she-spawn. A 5-year-old Jessica happily roasted marshmallows over the flames that engulfed her house. She was guilty of setting her own home and her parents on fire. After years of shock therapy, Jessica celebrated her freedom by massacring her entire school. Naturally, she was then sentenced to life in prison. Jason Wynn, who was part of the United States Security Group and considered one of the most powerful men in the world, heard about Jessica through the grapevine. Jason picked her out of the prison and offered to train and hone her skills as a deadly assassin. Much to her delight, Jessica was then sent dangerous missions that involved cold-blooded killing, and she even kindled wars in several countries. She began living a double life and pretended to have a regular job while she lived in Queens. Jason sent Jessica to retrieve a bioweapon known as Heat-16. It was an extremely tricky mission, but it turned out to be a piece of cake for the assassin. She successfully scored the weapon and escaped through the dense jungles of Brazil, with biogenetic creatures in pursuit. She is blessed with superhuman reflexes and is an excellent markswoman. Given her job, she is skilled at tracking targets and tactical analysis. The Magdalena. Mary Magdalena was not featured in her solo comic book series. Instead, she made several appearances in the issue of The Darkness, The Witchblade, The Tomb Raider, The Angelus, and Vampirella. Mary Magdalena was said to be the wife of Jesus Christ. She gave birth to Sarah after Jesus was crucified and thus began the lineage of the Magdalena. One Magdalena was born in every generation, and she was made the protector of the Catholic Church. They have the ability to show wrongdoers their mistakes and give them a chance for redemption. The Inquisition was the top secret council responsible for assigning her missions. The Magdalena wield the Spear of Destiny, a celestial weapon that even managed to impale Christ. The Magdalena is raised and trained by the Catholic Church. In the Top Cow comic universe, we see 3 prominent incarnations of the Magdalena: Sister Rosalia, Mariella, and Patience. Rosalia was sent on several missions as a vampire slayer. Her daughter, Mariella, was meant to kill the darkness with the Spear of Destiny, but she was undertrained. Even after several close brushes with death, the council continued to send her on life-threatening missions. It was revealed that someone within the church sought to end the Magdalena bloodline. The third Magdalena broke away from the norm and left the convent. The Inquisition sent agents to hunt her down. Patience even encountered Sarah Pizzini, who thought her to be a potential ally. Riptide. All Lyanna knew about her father was that he was a famous author. Lyanna Creel, as a regular human, was a deep-sea scavenger. An undersea accident should have killed her, but instead, she was given a strange set of powers by a sea witch. She realized she now possessed the powers to manipulate and summon water. This was the day when Lyanna Creel became Riptide. Riptide decided to join the Youngblood team. Initially, she joined up only to make money, but came to find a sense of community among her teammates. Lyanna was part of the Youngbloods International Task Force and was stationed in Kuwait. Riptide helped prevent an invasion from the army. In the 90s, the International Task Force fought against a terrorist group known as the Holy Unification. She was also involved in the mission to transport a slumbering super soldier named Jonathan Taylor Prophet. The super soldier's enemies, the Disciples of Doom, decided to attack them that very moment. Years down the line, she was even fired from the Youngbloods team when she decided to pose nude for a magazine, but shortly rejoined when the group was reinvented. During a Youngblood barbecue gathering, Riptide snooped around and found her father's book. Her father was said to be a storybooksmith. He had written a story on how Lyanna would gain her powers, and it had come true. The book was in the possession of Langston, and when he found out that Lyanna had taken her father's book, he brutally murdered her. Avengelyne. Avengelyne was made from the light. The white fire is said to be an angel's divine power. She's one of Jehovah's angels. Avengelyne referred to him as the Lord of Hosts. She was a part of the War Hosts group, the Warrior Angels. Avengelyne is known to be a seraph, and along with another angel named Micah, the two became God's most favored warrior angels. Avengelyne was characteristically fearless. She charged through Hell's capital and slayed demons in vast numbers. Micah sought to plant a seed of doubt in Evangelyne's mind. She ended up questioning God's judgment, which infuriated him. She was thrown down to the mortal realm and forced to live among humans. Evangelyne's warrior powers were taken away, and she experienced human sorrow for the first time. In fear, she fled to the Catholic Church, where she was taken in and given refuge by Father Peter and Father Mallory. Another fallen angel who turned into the demon lord known as Belale took notice of Evangelyne. He wanted to recruit her into the unholy army that he planned to unleash to take over Earth. When Evangelyne and Father Mallory escaped from nearly being kidnapped, the demon lord burned down their chapel. Father Mallory founded a new faith and called it the Church of the People and Evangelyne. When she was entirely an angel, Evangelyne had the superhuman powers of instant regeneration and invulnerability. She could even sense the presence of demons nearby. Cyblade. Dominique Thibault is also known by her alias as Cyblade. She is a metahuman who can harness electromagnetic energy. Dominique was born into European royalty to a mother who died during childbirth and a money-hungry father. Dominique first realized her powers when she defended herself against armed men who tried to abduct her. Her father put Madame Jocelyn in charge of training Dominique in martial arts and gymnastics. Dominique's powers manifested via electromagnetic energy, which she could turn into weapons. She can also emit energy blasts against her foes. Cyblade is also capable of psionically controlling this energy, which she used to travel from one place to another. Dominique was being pursued by a shady organization named Cyberdata. They even killed off her father and older brother. After the death of her loved ones, Dominique decided to go to the Middle East, where she studied to become a doctor and also turned into someone of a revolutionary. This time, Cyberdata successfully kidnapped her and forced her to undergo surgery and inserted a brain box in her cerebral cortex that would allow them to control her power however they wished. While she worked alongside two other metahumans, Striker and Heatwave, they revealed to her all the heinous crimes that Cyberdata had committed so far. She agreed to undergo another procedure that involved the removal of the brain box. Thus, she was freed from Cyberdata's control over her mind. The three then formed the Cyberforce. She eventually became the leader of Cyberforce. Her inherited wealth and other amassed resources were all put towards building the group. Rapture. Sharona Jackson came from an abusive household while her mother was forced into prostitution. Her mother abruptly vanished and Sharona had no choice but to pick up her profession. Sharona took up the name Rapture while she worked. During one of her work days, an old man beckoned from a black limousine. Sharona assumed he was just another client, but it turned out to be Dr. Nirvana, an evil genius who abducted people he considered unimportant and transformed them into superhumans. While Dr. Nirvana worked on Rapture, it resulted in a disastrous explosion in his lab that left the Doctor comatose. Rapture gained the power to generate vast amounts of electricity. Sharona could even emit energy blasts akin to lightning and project herself into the air using this electrifying energy. She returned to her vile pimp to exact revenge for everything he had put her through. Rapture was stopped by Ricochet. She was invited to join the superhuman unit of the Chicago police force. Rapture ended up joining the Freak Force alongside Super Patriot and Mighty Man. Sharona and Savage Dragon even had a child together named Malcolm Dragon. Down the line, Rapture joined the government-sanctioned team, Special Operations Strike Force, which posed as a replacement for the Youngbloods. They traveled to the Dark World, which is a parallel universe to our Earth, and Rapture held her own in the fight against the Dark Lord. Fairchild. Caitlyn Fairchild was a part of the Wildstorm universe under Image Comics. She's a Gen active member of Team 7. Originally, Caitlyn was a shy youth under the care of her adoptive parents. She was brilliant and got into Princeton, where she majored in computer science and electrical engineering. She was asked to be a part of Project Genesis. Unbeknownst to her, Caitlyn was fed a drug that was meant to activate her dominant Gen-active mutant powers. When an unreasonable security guard tried to mess with Caitlyn and her friends, her powers were triggered, and she transformed into the formidable Amazon. The team came to be known as Gen 13, and was helped by the director of the international operations, who gave the runaway teens a safe house. Caitlyn soon reunited with her birth father Alex Fairchild, who also proved to be a great mentor for the trio. Sadly, her father died while protecting them from Professor Tindalos. Caitlyn's powers consisted of an augmented physiology. This meant that her muscle and bone mass largely expanded, which gave Caitlyn Herculean strength and durability. In the comic Gen 13, Volume 3, Caitlyn absorbed the powers of another superhuman, which allowed her to turn herself into a purple liquid and transform into different shapes. Recently, Caitlyn Fairchild has been incorporated into a whole other comic universe. She joined the DC superhero team known as the Wildcats. Marvelous verdict. Here we come to the end of a list of the 12 most potent Image comic heroes. All these women are an embodiment of strength and resilience, whether it involves being linked to a demonic blade, stepping into the role of a demon slayer, being cast down from heaven itself, or avenging their mortal selves. Each misadventure was handled with grace. We hope stories of heroes like these are explored more in depth and we see them unapologetically own their powers.